Okay, sounds good.
Okay, perfect. First, real quick, just to get this out of the way, if you could say and spell your first and last name and then your position as well.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, I'll spell my last name, Greene, United States Representative of Georgia's 14th District.
All right, and we'll go right into it. So, first question, just what about the attacks on the Iranian nuclear sites kind of differs or goes against some of the promises from President Trump's campaign?
Well, President Trump is the leader of the Republican Party. He's the leader of America First, and he created the MAGA agenda. And this is why I support President Trump. I've always supported him, and I fully support him now. What we campaigned on was no more foreign wars, not being involved in regime change. And this is something that the American people are fully behind. And so I've been very vocal about that the past few days. This is what I got elected on. This is what President Trump got elected on. And I'm very pleased at his messaging that he put out today. As a matter of fact, just recently, that he is pursuing peace, and that he's encouraging Israel to do the same thing. So it's been really good news today that no American troops were harmed and that the president is taking the position of peace, which is exactly what America wants to see from the president.
And specifically from Representative Massey and I know Ro Khanna talking about putting together their war powers resolution and their concerns that the order for these attacks was unconstitutional. How do you feel about them being constitutional or unconstitutional?
Well, the War Powers Act says that the president has 60 days as the commander in chief to conduct the military as he sees fit, especially when America is threatened. And that's incredibly important. That was something that President Obama, President Bush, President Biden had done as well. And so there's a big difference between what I see happening and the need for a war powers resolution. There hasn't been a war powers resolution in a very long time. So that has been introduced. It has all Democrat co-sponsors. And Thomas Massey, who's someone that I really like and share a very similar voting record with. Of course, he and President Trump have their differences. So I'm not sure about the reason for the war powers resolution, but I think President Trump has clearly stated today, as he just put out on his Truth Social, that it's time for peace, and that's exactly what the American people want to see.
So leading up, and I haven't even seen that tweet yet, so that's new to me, but just leading up to that was kind of where your concerns that you had posted on X, that's where those concerns came from, was before President Trump announced that he was wanting peace.
My what I've been posting about on social media is basically the thoughts and feelings of many Americans. There's a generational divide, and it's important to recognize that. Most older people, baby boomers, my parents' generation, for example, they get their news from television, and they watch the news, and that's where they develop their opinions. And they're the ones primarily who have been supporting many of these foreign wars for the past several decades. However, my generation, I'm 51 years old, Generation X and the millennials, and younger, my children's generation, they're 22, 25, and 27. Most younger Americans are sick and tired of the foreign wars. They really want the federal government and all local leaders to focus on the things that impact their lives. Most of these younger generations want hope for their future. They want to see affordable housing, affordable insurance, affordable gasoline, affordable groceries. They don't want to think about a terrorist attack happening in our homeland. They want to think about a concert they're going to next weekend, or maybe a fun trip they've planned over the summer. And I think it's very important, and it's our job in Washington, D.C., to make decisions and do a good job at making sure Americans can have the great lives that they want to have, because they're the taxpayers and they're the ones that vote for us. And that's very much part of the MAGA agenda, is to make sure that we are taking care of America first and not funding foreign causes, foreign countries, and foreign wars. And that's my position. I think we're $37 trillion in debt. We can't afford foreign wars. We can't afford to pay for foreign countries' causes and to fund all of these foreign issues. It's time for us to focus inward. That's not isolationism. That's actually taking care of our country and our people. And I'd love to see great trade deals so that businesses, not only in my district, but all over the country, can continue moving forward. I want to see a housing boom. I want to see a construction boom, and I want to see a manufacturing boom. And those are the things that matter far more than some war in the Middle East.
And then one last thing, just referring to that, I guess, statement that you put on X earlier this morning. Trump is not a king, MAGA is not a cult, and I can and do have my own opinion. Just kind of expand on that a little bit and what you meant by that part of the statement.
Well, you're only reading a tiny piece of a very long post I put, so I think that's taking it completely out of context. I put out a long post that we're against foreign wars, we're against regime change, and we want world peace. And I think that's what most people want. So that's nothing out of the ordinary. I fully support the president. I've helped him more than anyone. I also posted in the same post that I spent millions of dollars campaigning for President Trump all over the country. That's more than Mark Levin on Fox News. That's more than Lindsey Graham or Sean Hannity or all these people that are promoting war and wanting to see war. And I've supported the president when a lot of people turned their back on him. But what I did say, we have Democrats out protesting, saying no kings. Guess what? President Trump is not a king, and we don't think of him as one. We settled that war back in 1776. We settled that. There are no kings in America. And Democrats always attack us and say MAGA is a cult. MAGA is not a cult. We're a group of Americans, and we're allowed to have our own opinions. And we can still support President Trump while we may disagree with him sometimes. And that's what I was talking about.
Perfect. And that was the context of that part that I was looking for. So that is exactly what I wanted to talk about today. Do you have anything else to add that I did not ask you?
No, I don't think so. Hope everything's good in Chattanooga and back home in Georgia. And I look forward to hopefully being back home next week.
Yeah, we are staying good over here. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate the time today, and I will be in touch if I have any further questions. Thank you.
Thank you.